there is evidence that there are maneuverings already towards 2015. And I guess that evidence of that would be the merger that we saw in the course of this week, with 4 parties coming together to form the armored
personnel carrier.
I mean, that is Coyote's joke. It's APC.
Oh, well, even the governor of Lagos State has used the words himself.
Okay.
Armored personnel carrier. Senior political editors and all that, they're already calling it armored personnel carrier. Whatever that means.
Okay, so the APC has been formed, and that is supposed to be a veritable opposition party. And Asiwaju Tinubu has been quoted as saying that that party was formed to get rid of the PDP scavengers and
wayfarers, he said.
Thank you very much. So to look at this political scene with us this morning, it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Yinka Olumide Fusika. Mr. Yinka Olumide Fusika, who is a legal practitioner.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. As well as Mr. Femi Segun, who is a political analyst. Good morning.
Thank you for inviting me.
We expect a journalist, Mr. Kazim Akinriti, to join us in the course of this segment. Let me begin with the political analyst, if I may. APC. It is supposed to be the opposition party, opposing the PDP, of course. What are your thoughts about the formation of that party? Some PDP chieftains have made comments about it being, it's not going to work, it's a company of strange bedfellows, it's a waste of time. What are your thoughts?
Well, this APC, which I heard on radio somebody described as Association of Political Confucianists, but the actual nomenclature is, well, you know what it is.
Progressive Congress.
Progressive Congress, yes. Is actually an example of the fact that in Nigeria there is no ideology behind our political parties. You will recall that PDP was the first party. AD and APP came out of PDP, and there was no discernible difference in their manifestos or in their approach at politics, and that is still what we are seeing today. So what that tells us is that there's no political ideology. There are just aims. That parties come together because they want to wrest power. It's not about delivering democracy anymore. It's about winning the elections. But be that as it may, it is a good thing. It is a good thing because we were starting to fall into the one-party syndrome, which is what has imperiled democracies all over Africa in the last 40 years. So now that we have a strong and credible opposition, because when you have a merger of those parties, although I hear ABGA has since said that they were not a part of it, so we only have 3 parties out of 4. We had ACN, we had ANPP, and then what was the third party?
They were
CPC.
And CPC, of course, and CPC was itself a coalition of so many other different parties. So we have all of them coming together now, and it means that we are going to have credible political opposition in this nation.
Okay,
the point now...
Okay. Mr. Olumide, do you agree with him that we are now going to see a formidable opposition?
Yeah, I wouldn't agree, and the reason why I wouldn't agree is simply because it is not the existence of a group that would make us have a good opposition party. What difference are they bringing into what currently exists? I can see it. when I say I can't see it, 2 or 3 of the existing parties merging to form a new group. Like he said, is there a change in what they used to be in terms of program, their own performance in office, and so on and so forth? If he's looking at it from the point of view of, okay, maybe it will be one presidential candidate representing what used to be about 3 presidential candidates in the past. Maybe from that angle, you could say it's an improvement. But otherwise, I really don't see what difference is going to bring into the equation.
Okay. What would you consider the biggest challenge that this new party has to overcome?
Well, the biggest challenge
Challenges.
they have to overcome is the perception that he has just espoused. And I must tell you that it took me a lot to keep quiet while he was talking. It's the challenge of perception, and that is that nothing new is being brought to the table, nothing is going to change. It is still the same strange bedfellows who have been in government since independence or shortly after independence, and who have been pulling the strings of government for so long, and who have just simply decided that they are coming together to oppose government. I don't think that is a perception that they can overcome very easily. It's the main challenge that we have, which actually leads me to what I was going to say next, and that is that the understanding that people have of opposition is not simply at the electoral posts. I'm speaking now of a credible opposition when government, that acts as a check and balance against the government. And as I was discussing with somebody earlier on, perhaps it is now time to form a shadow government. Because if we have a political party that is as big and as widespread enough as this coalition, I think it is time to form a shadow government, to examine government's policies step by step, day by day, and not a matter of rhetoric, not a matter of controversy and coming out with controverting governments, but actually coming out with policies and expounding on them to the public that show that these are people who have the interest of the public at heart. Because what we have today is a disconnect between government and the people.
Yeah, but what do you intend to achieve by having a shadow government? I mean, you say they will come together, they will talk about policies and all that, they will discuss what government is, but whatever they come up with is useless. Because the government of the day isn't likely to listen to what they have to suggest.
Oh, but they do. But they do.
But politics in Nigeria is not the same as everywhere else.
I know it is not, but if you already look at what is happening in the House of Reps, where you have a Femi Gbadabiamila leading the opposition, you would discover that his vociferous opposition to things that are going on there have affected the eventual outcome of the deliberations. And that's basically what we need at this point. But when it comes to elections, well, then we're going to ask ourselves what exactly is going to, be the outcome of having that kind of coalition. Is the coalition really representing the conscience and the desire of the common man? Or is it representing the usual elitist, advantages that have been in place for years?
Well, one of the
You have something to say about that?
I think that we have been battered over the years, and Nigerians are now getting wiser to understand that if you want a change, it's something you have to work for, and you have to be active. For the first time in Nigeria, in recent times, the court would give a judgment, and of course we've had the different trend of accused persons taking hired people to the court to intimidate, but in recent recently, and I have been in legal practice for quite some time. A court will give a decision. I'm not criticizing the court for giving the decision, whatever, but Nigerians would get up and say, we are going to protest that decision. You saw it happen. They went to the, all over the place in Abuja to say, we are not simply going to put up with this any longer. Nigerians are becoming conscious. They know that if you want something to happen here, you don't sit back and just fold your arms and just believe that things would go on the way. Things will change automatically. The words of the famous American black gospel singer Mahalia Jackson says, I live what I sing. When you talk about opposition, it's not what Lai Mohammed comes out to say every day criticizing. I don't feel that as opposition. You look, these people have people in government. The parliament that or the assembly, national assembly that we are talking about, you have people there. I wasn't too young during the second republic. We saw what opposition was. Maybe, in the first one I wasn't old enough, but the second republic, we saw what opposition was. We saw the way the UPN senators, the House of Representative members, used to conduct themselves. We remember the latest Senator Abraham Adesanya, the way he used to conduct business. How, when you are talking about budgeting for the country, the UPN would have done its own look at issues, criticize here and there, and say, okay, this is, and you actually have members of that party going to the National Assembly then, trying to influence the outcome of the budget, not just going there to say we are members of this committee, oh yeah, bring money, let's put in our pockets and do all sorts of things. So when you say that, you mentioned somebody has been very active in the House of Rep, maybe it's a question of perception. I don't see it.